Hi. Um, this is my first attempt at making a video, and I've been watching lots of my YouTube neighbors, and felt like I had some things I wanted to add. I know that there have been some discussions about um, people with autoimmune diseases, like I've seen some lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and other videos, and I wanted to add a video about scleroderma. And I know that there have been some videos on scleroderma, and I also know that when I was newly diagnosed, I had an awful lot of questions and just was searching and searching for answers. And I think it would have been helpful if I'd known then to look on YouTube and find some people who had maybe been recently diagnosed and could have answered some of my questions, because there's so much information coming at you, and doctors don't seem to have a lot of time. And not that they don't care, but I think that they're rushed, and sometimes they just kind of push patients off who still have a lot of questions, and they send you to support groups and such. Personally, I didn't go to a support group meeting for a good year after I was diagnosed, mostly because I was really afraid of what I was going to see. But I'll try to keep this short. My story was that all of a sudden I started having very strange symptoms. Just all at once, really weird things were happening, like I couldn't make a fist, I couldn't close my hands all the way. My skin was changing color. I would get out of breath very easily. I was very tired all the time. I was so tired that one night I came home from work and I sat down on the sofa in my coat and fell fast asleep, and 2 hours went by and my sons came into the room and found me passed out on the sofa with my coat on and thought that I was dead. And I tried to garden and I couldn't kneel down, and I started vomiting in my sleep, which was really scary. And like I said, my skin was itchy and puffy, and just like gangbusters of symptoms came on all at once. And I went to my doctor, and she said, "Oh, well, you're having heartburn and you're having vomiting issues because you're eating wrong and you're eating too late at night and you're overweight and blah blah blah. And your skin is funny because you have a rash, and you're tired because you are getting older now." And she seemed to have 1,000,001 answers, but I wasn't satisfied, so I had her run some blood work, and she ran the blood work, and she said, "Well, I'm not finding anything. There's nothing wrong with you." And I said, "Okay, I still feel like there's something wrong with me though." And she said, "Well, just here, take an antacid and go see a dermatologist." So more time went by, and I went back to her, and I said, "Look, I'm not getting any better, and I'm really getting concerned about these symptoms. Can't you do something?" And she, ran more blood work, and she said, "No, there's nothing wrong with you." And at this point, I took matters into my own hands, because several months had gone by, and I felt like I was getting worse. And my face started getting tight, and I couldn't open my mouth all the way. I felt like my mouth was shrinking, and I was saying to my friends at work, like, what's wrong with my face? Do you notice anything with my face? And everybody was shrugging their shoulders. So at this point, I started doing some research on my own, and I came across the word scleroderma, and I had heard of it before, only because I worked in a dental office, and a patient came in to talk to my boss one day, and when she left, he came and he said, "That lady that was just here, she's slowly turning to stone. Her body is hardening up on her." And I thought, "Oh my God, what a scary, horrible thing that must be. Thank God it's not me." So that was all I knew about scleroderma, and the more I read about it, the scarier it was, and the more terrifying it was. And I went back to the same doctor who had been my physician for years and years, and I said, look, I think I have this disease. And she said, no, you don't. Nobody gets that disease. And I said, well, do you know anybody who has this disease? Have you ever seen anybody with this disease? And she said, no. I said, well, how do you know? I mean, if you haven't seen anybody who's newly presented with this disease, how do you know? So she ran off for a little bit, and I have a feeling that she went on to her Merck manual or whatever and did some research, and she came back and she said, you could be right. And she ran some more blood work, and this was an ANA antibody test that she ran, and I think that was all that she really ran, and she came back and she said that it was negative and I didn't have it. And this time I said, you know what, I'm going to go to a specialist because I really want to see somebody who has seen this disease and knows about it. So I made an appointment at one of the teaching hospitals in Philadelphia. I was very lucky. I found a scleroderma specialist, and the minute he looked at me, he said, when were you diagnosed? And at that moment I felt like my heart stopped, because I just knew. I had known it. I mean, I knew it. And I said, you just told me, you just confirmed it. I researched it myself, and I told him the story, and he said, well, however you got here, you came to the right place. And he started giving me all these instructions of who to go see. I needed to see a pulmonologist, an endocrinologist, or gastroenterologist, cardiologist, all sorts of tests. And the next 2 months was just a whirlwind of testing, and of course I felt really awful and terrible, and I said, can't you give me something to make me feel better? And he said, well, you know, we really want to know what stage your disease is at before we give you any medication. So after all the testing, I started on some medications. Some medications worked, some medications didn't work. My gastroenterologist started me right away on Nexium to help my really horrible GERD at this point. My heartburn was awful. He taught me how to eat properly, and that I didn't have any more motility in my esophagus. Basically, the only thing that was getting food down was gravity at this point. And slowly but surely I learned more about the disease, and I was lucky enough to have doctors who explained things to me, and things were really progressing very quickly. And I was scared. I was scared. My kids were afraid. Everything that I read, I wasn't positive that I was even going to live for the next 2 years, because a lot of what I read said that, you know, pretty much 2 years from diagnosis, your kidneys were going to fail, and that was going to be the end of you. But that's not what happened. That was back in 2005, and I'm sitting here and I'm talking, and I can walk, and I haven't fallen to pieces. There's more to the story, but I'm going to leave it at my diagnosis, and I'll come back and I'll talk some more about how things progressed, and different doctors that I saw, different symptoms that arose, different complications that arose. But basically, I really want anybody who's been diagnosed with scleroderma to know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that it's not a death sentence by any means. It's a livable disease. I'm not going to say that it's an easy disease. I'm not going to say that you take a magic pill and everything's going to be better, but whatever comes down the pike, you just have to know that things are going to come down the pike, and that you will be able to deal with them, and that it will be scary at times, but that you can get through that scariness. And the best thing to do is to keep yourself surrounded with positive people, and educate your doctors, educate your family. My family and my friends know more about scleroderma than most of the doctors that I know, and that's a really sad and weird thing. But I will talk some more, and thank you for your time, and feel free to comment or contact me if you need some support, and we'll talk again soon.